still kind of new to Blab here. Every time I schedule a show, I drop in a graphic. I drop in a very nice graphic, and I'm not sure why there's no graphic. Is it because the one up here in the left-hand corner, is that the one? Yeah,
1,000 by 400.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, what I see,
maybe it's a glitch.
In the upper left-hand corner of the Blab screen, where it says beta and it's got the edit and it says This Week in Church Media, it's just black. Is there like a profile image or something that's supposed to be there that's not? Okay, so it's just supposed to be straight text. And nothing on the Blab landing page. Let me jump over there. It's weird. Let's see. So on air, you would think I would show up somewhere in the on-air stuff, right? Is that what we're looking for? This Week in Church Media. Yeah, I don't know why it's not there. That doesn't make sense. It's a bundle of ridiculousness. Does not make sense because when I schedule it, I load up a graphic. Let me double check and make sure that the size is exactly the same. I could have sworn when I made it literally 1,000 by 400 or whatever the specific settings were. For those of you joining us, this is the pre-show for This Week in Church Media, something that Toby and I are trying out. And we're still trying to find our format and stuff like that. So this is
find our groove.
Yeah, this is all just a work in progress. You get to come along for the ride. Let's see here. Details.
Hey, Stephen and Tommy, is my echo gone from last week? I did it differently. I got a new mic. Yes, awesome.
Okay,
sweet.
Hey, so Stephen, so I read somewhere that it was 1,000 by 450. Classic Mac. Yeah, this is only our second one. I've watched some Blabs. Some of my friends do them. Gary Leland is a very good close friend of mine, and he's like one of the original podcasters. And he jumped on Blab and has already written a book. And we're putting a course together and all this kind of stuff on Blab. And so yes, been watching and participating through the chat room and stuff. Leslie Samuel's another buddy of mine, and he blabs all the time. Does all his shows through that. So that's why I decided to jump in. Yeah, see, 1,000 by 450. So I did. I made it. I did it. And every time I go to schedule a Blab, I load up that image, and that's all I can do. I mean, unless I'm not doing this right, I schedule it. I load up the image. I hit schedule. I put a date. I put a time. I don't know what the deal is. I just don't know, but I do want it in there properly. Aha. In fact, let me, I'm going to jump over on Skype, Stephen, and I'm going to drop you the file over Skype. Just let's see here. Hey, Stephen, let me ask you something real quick. You sent me your Skype handle, and when I did a search for it, I have one in Sharon, U.S. Is that you? Okay. Go confirm me, please, sir.
See you, Classic Mac.
Leaving? All right. Now, let me see if I can just drop the file in. Or I'm using the Skype beta web app, so I'm actually doing it on a web page now instead of the actual Skype app. So let's see if it is as wonderful and flexible as the app is. Can I drag and drop? Yes, I can. It's sending. Oh, for the love of Pete. I'm stepping away for 2 seconds.
Oh, for the love of Pete. What's up, Gigi? She's just trying to be famous. She just wants on the air. Steven, man, still blown away about meeting you last week. You're doing some really cool stuff. Hey, Gigi. You're doing more than trying. You're crushing it. We'll have to ask Dave about that. Don't know if he I'm pretty sure he did schedule it. So you did get something, Tommy. Good.
All right, let me get my ears back on here. La la.
Awesome. So Dave, did you actually schedule the blab today, or did you just send out the notification?
No, I scheduled it. I scheduled it last night around 10 o'clock or something like that, and saw the countdown and everything, and started it like a minute or two before. Because
you're just that good.
Yeah, trying.
Steven didn't see it. Something's weird. Beta.
Steven, did you get the? Oops, it didn't. Did you okay me over on Skype? Then try sending the file again. Failed. Let's try it manually.
Listening show.
Well, for some reason, it's not doing it. It's not letting us do that. No, Steven, I didn't. Let me go back to my. Yeah, it shows that you're not on. There's two of them when I do a search. There's one that just says Sharon, US, but it doesn't show that you're on. Okay, there we are. Okay. All right, now let me... I'll tell you in just a second, Julian. I'm going to try sending a file. Okay, so go to blab.im. is the address. For what it's worth, Toby's mic is way better sounding than Dave's. What? What?
That's right. Thank you, Tommy. I upgraded.
Okay, so is mine like too dim? Too low?
Am I gonna be able to join the chat room? I hear people.
Okay. So let's go. Let's see. You will see. There you go.
Can I call in?
No, you may not.
Oh.
He wants to call in. Let's see. It sounds more low and bassy. Yes. That is correct.
Toby is crisp and clear. I've been told that.
Okay, does this sound crisper and clearer?
Okay.
Must be. I'm scared to say anything now.
What?
Sorry, Tommy. Didn't mean to distress you.
What? Yeah.
Tommy said he's scared to say anything now. I creeped him out.
Let's see here. Yeah, see, I have myself listed as available. And I've had conversations with other folks, but for some reason, does it show me as online now? And this is really weird. I see you typing. Okay, good. Dun, dun, dun. I know this makes for fantastic
It's great.
fantastic radio.
They are riveted.
I know, they are. They are. All right.
We are killing it. Literally killing it.
Offline with voice messaging. That's so weird. Oh, I wonder if it's because it's on my phone, too. Okay, well, regardless. Let's see here. All right. You can say hello.
But it says to sign up with Twitter.
Yeah, well, then you're not going to be able to. Alrighty. So check this out, Toby.
Yes. Do you have intro music?
What do you think?
Nice.
Welcome to the thing we're doing.
Dave, the topic that we discussed for today, I'm already totally lost.
What?
Hello.
Okay, so look at all of the Star Wars things behind your head.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of stuff, yeah.
It's called being cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jillian said it's called being cool. You should try it sometime.
we heard her.
All right. So, yeah. All right. So, on the topic that we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
where we like got halfway through lunch and just kept like basically did a show right there.
But right there.
Yeah.
But we were talking about doing the whole Facebook Live thing.
Oh yeah.
Have you experimented with that, or
No, not yet. No, we're not going to do that.
Okay, we're not going to do that. Good, because I'm way confused by it. So let's not do that.
We're not going to do that. What we were talking about, just a little behind the scenes for those of y'all in the chat room, we want to simulcast with Facebook Live. Now, I'm largely an Android guy, and he's largely a Mac or an iOS guy.
All things Apple.
Yeah. So he can actually go Facebook Live right now, and I can too. I've got my iPad over here, but my primary devices are the Android thing.
Thanks, Stephen.
And what I want to do is I want to use my Samsung Galaxy Cam to actually be the source for Facebook Live. Now, I've got to wait another week or two for them to roll it out to Android, but I want Facebook Live to be like really, really cool. And so what Toby and I were talking about doing is broadcasting on Blab, but then also having a clamp or something to mount our devices on. Excuse me. And running the sound from our computers into our devices. So he'd run his into his iPad Mini, and I would run mine into my Android, and then we would go live on Facebook, each of us, because we have our own audiences on Facebook, and that way, the people that follow me would be able to see me face on, but then hear the conversation between Toby and I, and vice versa. People that follow him be able to see him and interact with him directly on Facebook Live, but then hear our conversation as well, whatever we're doing here in Blab. So the idea is to kind of like simulcast, if we can. It would be cool. Just another window into what we're doing while we're doing it live. So we'll be playing with that and seeing if we can make it work. And if it doesn't work there, then maybe we'll try it on Periscope or something.
Mm-hmm. Meevee, the live streaming platform that captures the can't miss moments.
Meevee? Gosh, it's like every time I turn around, there's something new.
There's something new.
Man. All right, so Meevee. Mm-hmm.
There is always something new. Meevee looks just kind of, first glance, kind of like Periscope. Is it, Stephen? Yeah.
Okay, so why is it that I do a search for Meevee and I get everything but Meevee.com? Is there a Meevee.com?
Mm-hmm. Meevee.com.
I do a search for Meevee and I get everybody's article on Meevee. Maybe it's Meevee.tv?
No, Meevee.com. Meevee.
There it is.
Oh. So why, Stephen, why Meevee versus Periscope? What's your thought there?
I would think Periscope would have a wider install base since it's been around since like June or whenever it was.
Mm-hmm. And built-in connect, like relationships.
Mm-hmm. And Periscope's part of Twitter.
Oh, so they're more listening to user feedback.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, when you get a company that's just starting out, yeah, their early adopters are going to listen to and work with. And it's always great when you're like on the ground floor because you can actually influence some of that stuff. But at some point, their investors kick in and they stop listening and end up becoming just, something that is going to be out there and be bought by Google and then depreciated. Of course, I'm not being negative.
Meevee the Tech Buzz, hey. I love that you can put links right in the middle of this.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, guys, if you have questions, let's use the /Q so that it gets highlighted. Because as the chat goes, we may end up losing something once you guys start talking amongst yourselves, as is wont to happen. We don't want to miss a question. All right, so yeah, I don't have I have not written up anything yet as far as an official intro. Let's see if we can come up with something real fast here.
Hey, Rue Rose. Welcome. What are the next winning lottery numbers? If you watch Mevi on your iPad, it works better. Yeah. Or iPhone. Yeah, my iPad's at home. You had like 400 plus viewers for one of your Mevis. That seems like a great number. Is that a great number for you? Yeah, your studio tour. Yeah. Is that what you kind of showed us last week? I think you gave us a link to that, kind of showing, or was that your church that you were showing us on that link last week? For the type of media, pretty good. Yeah, church last week.
I hear Ron back there.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe this is an omnidirectional mic. That might have been a poor choice.
Actually, there should be some settings. I'm guessing on the back there may be a dial or something where you can change the pattern.
There's nothing.
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 Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. It's very clean. That's kind of one of the things I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a snowball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is the blue.
Blue made one of the first. That one was one of the first. The first USB microphones to have a lot of quality and all that. Back. I mean that. Yeah. That they started making that like in like 2006 or 2007 or something like that.
Oh, really? It's been that while.
Yeah, they've gone through several iterations of it, and and Blue. I mean, Blue just makes tremendous mics. Let's see.
Yeah, and it was Tommy. It was crazy inexpensive. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's one of the reasons I was like, well, it's got great reviews. Got it, and it's great. It's got its own stand that comes with it. It's beautiful. I also upgraded this week because I got the toothpick in the mouth. That's always a good look. And we're a short unlit cigar. Kind of the Clint Eastwood, the good, bad, and the ugly look. So Rue Rose is Rose your last name? Is Rose part of your name? Yes, Rose. What you're seeing is kind of like last week we kind of had an alpha of This Week in Church Media. Uh-huh. This week is kind of a beta. We're figuring this out as we go.
That's right. So,
But
we're
Tommy and Steven have been nice enough to help us bang through some of this and try to figure it out. That's why there's dead time. That's why we look totally confused, because we are.
what are the next winning lottery numbers? I don't know. You got till 5 o'clock to claim your one over in California, though. Let's see.
So, Rue, are you in church ministry?
Rue 2521.
Brother Rose?
Let's see here.
Yes.
Cool.
You just started a church. Great.
Cool. Where are you at?
North Carolina. Man, I love North Carolina.
Beautiful country.
And amazing barbecue. Holy cow. Vinegar-based barbecue is where it's at.
Love it. Love it. All right. Let's see here.
So whenever you are just starting a church, did you just stumble into the Blab today, or is there something like church media related that you're really, really curious about? What, in the Netherlands? I would like to come guest speak at your church.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So what was the first week like for you guys in the Netherlands? I have no idea what that is. What is Pastafarian Church?
Pastafarian. So they're like think Bob Marley, but Italian.
Oh, okay. I like it. Believers in the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Beer and pasta.
Beer and pasta.
Beer, pasta, and Bible study.
I actually helped with a church that was Church in the Pig. We met in a pub called The Pig.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a good time.
Just going to guess it wasn't kosher?
Oh, Dave humor. It was actually a great church. We would have kept meeting, but the Pig closed, and then we had no place to meet.
Darn.
Rose, you do 2 blabs. What are your blabs? You want to use media the best that you can with your church. How are you using media? What are your blabs, and how are you using media right now?
I'll tell you what. Let's start our show real quick, okay? And
the official start.
If he's open to it, we'll drop him in for a minute. And as long as he's not going to be swearing or anything, which I don't think we have to worry about, we'll bring him in and we'll just do a hot seat interview. Does that sound okay?
Please, awesome, cool.
Okay, fantastic. And then we'll bring in Steven in a little bit. I think he may have a tip for us. Okay, so go ahead. I'm gonna reject you for just a sec. I will tell you when to call in, Rue, and then we'll drop you in. Okay. So just hang tight. I swear I'm gonna change headphones.
Hey, TCS
kids.
Lock the seat. I'm simply a guest, so I can't lock the seat. That's a Dave thing. He's the host.
Hate that.
Lock the seat. It will be better for recording. What do you mean? The unlock and then unlock it when guests come on? So when you lock the seat, what does that do, Steven?
All right. So are you there, Tobe?
Yep.
All right. So I have a.
So if we lock the seat, it'd take that open seat out and put us in the center of the screen.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There we are.
Oh,
Okay.
much better.
So we will unlock the seat. We will unlock the seat shortly. Okay. Let's see here.
Stephen, you're a wealth of knowledge.
Fan-diddly-tastic. Okay. Now, I have something that we can try. We're going to try an intro. All right. I want you to hear this, Tobe, and tell me what you think, okay?
Okay.
Welcome to This Week in Church Media, the show where we explore everything digital and help you maximize it all and take the gospel to the world. I'm your co-host, Dave Curley from churchtrainingacademy.com, and that's where you pick it up.
I say Toby Henshaw. I'm Toby Henshaw, and I don't know what else to say, Dave. You just popped this on me. I don't know. I'm a youth pastor and technology guy at Hate Springs Baptist Church in Arlington, Texas,
Perfect.
and one of Dave's friends.
Perfect.
And excited about the day.
There you go. You want to try it?
Dave needs to make Toby co-host. I know, right? Tommy, he needs to make me co-host. He's being a snob.
Well, I said I'm your co-host. So, I mean, that's, I said I'm the co-host, and
you did.
I say my part.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm your co-host,
I'll
Dave
back
Curley, from churchtrainingacademy.com, and then you immediately...
And I'm Toby Henshaw.
There you go. And
All right.
Yeah, and I'm your other co-host. You can do that. All right.
I'm your other co-host.
Yes. And I'm your co-host.
I'm your co-host. Because I like hot chocolate.
All right. Let's test the music.
Uh-oh, music. Moving on up.
Welcome to This Week in Church Media, the show where we explore everything digital and help you maximize it all and take the gospel to the world. I'm your co-host, Dave Curley from churchtrainingacademy.com. That sounds good. What do you think?
And that was pretty good. I like Tommy's idea that this is this is Daryl, and I'm his other brother, Daryl. I like that.
That's funny.
You're never going to get like a serious launch from me. It's never going to happen.
How does the level sound on the music? Is it too high?
I don't think so. What do these guys think?
Yeah.
Steven's got it. No. Tommy said no.
All right. Well, we'll just play with it.
We'll play. Hey, Justin.
All right. Check. Test. Okay. All right. Talk to me, Toby.
Test 1, 2. Okay. Howdy, Dave.
All right. Let's just see if this works. We'll just try it.
We'll just go.
All right. So I'm going to do this so that I know where to make the edit.
The edits.
All right. I swear, my allergies are messing me up today. My ear is itching. And
poison ivy.
Yeah, still have poison ivy, guys. It's been like 10 days, and it's still here. That's why I had to leave a few minutes ago. Jillian wanted to put makeup on me so that I didn't look like a complete buffoon. All right. So let's see. Let's see what we can do here. All right, I'm going to count us in. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, you sure you're ready?
No, but it's not ever going to get any better.
All right, let's see what we can do here. Welcome to This Week in Church Media, the show where we explore everything digital and help you maximize it all and take the gospel to the world. I am your co-host, Dave Curley from churchtrainingacademy.com.
And I'm Toby Henshaw, youth pastor at Tate Springs Baptist Church in Arlington and a tech guy.
Yes, you are. You are a tech guy, a good-looking tech guy.
I am a tech guy.
Yes.
3 people in the world think that, and most of them are my family.
Yeah. Where's the other one? You actually got someone else out there that's like, oh, he's good looking.
No, two kids and a wife.
Oh, okay.
3.
What about the?
Oh, and Tanner doesn't think I'm good looking, so it probably would be somebody
Well,
else.
Tanner's going to end up looking like you anyway.
Good intro. Thanks, Tommy. We need all the encouragement we can get.
All right, thank you. Well, that's good. We have one fan in the chat room, so that is fantastic. It means we're on the right track. All right. Well, so here we go. We just did an intro. I feel like we're like somewhat official now.
Let's not get carried away.
So, how has your week been?
Are you asking me or people that are in the room?
No, you, my co-host.
Me. Good. It's been a productive week. It's been a good week. Getting ready for Disciple Now. I don't know if you guys know what Disciple Nows are, but they are busy, crazy weeks for youth pastors and awesome for youth groups.
In the future, raise the music level. Thank you, Rue. I will. I'm still playing with it. I've got my music level and my setup here all done for like doing my own recordings where I can monitor those things and I can actually see all the levels. Doing everything through Blab, it's the way I've got it set up, it's all kind of janky and stuff. So I'm gonna have to play with it because I'm able to monitor them here, but I can't monitor them on the fade. So I've got to like rejigger a few things. But yeah, don't worry, we'll get it ironed out. That's part of the joy of doing live TV/radio or whatever. And we decided when we launched this that we were just going to launch and kind of perfect it over time, figure it out as we go, and bring you guys along for the ride. I personally have found it's a lot more fun as a host to do something like that, and I actually enjoy it when I'm on the other side and getting to watch a show get built and then become something. It's like I almost feel a sense of ownership to it once it like really gets good and people really start liking it and are saying, oh, hey, this is a really professional sounding show and all that sort of stuff. It's cool when you're at the beginning and watching your friends build it and all that.
And they go, man, that is not a professional sounding show. That's where it starts.
That's right.
Yeah. Those are just 2 idiots on the internet.
That's right. And that's what 2 idiots.
That's what we own. We should actually call the show 2 Idiots in Church Media.
2 Idiots in Church Media. I like that. I'm going to see if that domain's available.
Yeah.
So, you're getting things all nice and ready for Disciple Now, which for our church is at the end of the month. Is that right?
Yep. Last weekend in February.
Fantastic.
It's good stuff.
That is good. Tom Sinclair has Streaming Idiots show. Very cool. That's awesome.
See, I knew it was a good idea.
And I want to say welcome to everybody in the chat room. We've got several folks in here. Looks like we're starting to have a few regulars, which is cool. I say that because this is our second show, and most of them are back, which is awesome.
They've been here for every show.
Yeah, they have. They've been with us from the beginning, and that's extremely encouraging.
Yeah.
So let's see. We're still trying to figure out what our format's going to be. One of the things we're going to be doing is interviewing folks that are in the industry, and we're going to be talking to folks that are just absolutely killing it out there, working with big churches, small churches, whatever. We want to pick their brains and get all sorts of fantastic ideas, what is working, what's not working, how they're tweaking things to maximize it all. And then we're also going to be talking to folks that are just getting started. We kind of want to put folks in the hot seat. I have a lot of experience myself with broadcast and with podcasting and digital publishing and stuff. I've been a digital media producer for 15, 20 years, however long it's been. And Toby has been in church ministry for 20 something years. And, he's a technology guy. I'm a technology guy and stuff. So we come with these different experience bases, but we're not by any means where we want to be in church media. I mean, we want to, ultimately be the guys that, come up with an idea and it goes kerboom and it's just this big, wonderful thing like that. But, it's going to be a journey. So we want to basically learn from the masters that are out there and then take what we learn and help everybody else that's like us and just trying to figure it out as they go. So with that said, we have a new feller that is going to be calling in just a few seconds. His name is Rue Rose. And unlock, there it is, Rue Rose, and he has recently started a church. And Rue, if you're there, go ahead and call in. We bring you in here.
Okay, we're there.
Hey, what's up, Rue?
Hey, it's okay. How are you doing?
There you
Good.
are. Fantastic.
Obviously, you all are doing well. I've kind of watched the pre-show, and it's been
Yes.
exciting to say the least.
So what you're saying is that you live a life.
No, you're working on it.
So, Rue, tell us about yourself. You said you just recently started a church and you're in North Carolina. Is that right?
Right, that is true. And yes, I've started my wife and myself right now, currently the members, but we're working on that. And I plan to use as much media as possible, advertising wise as well, to enhance enhance growth, because it's important. I think because we're in a let's face it, a little technological world, that if I don't, then it's like, knocking on doors, which I do, and I enjoy doing that. But
Sure.
there's a mass way, and there are a lot of people that don't know about the advances that's been taken for reaching people, and I want to be on the as cutting edge of it as possible. Now, my background is that I came out of radio. I was in radio, pastored before, so that's not new. Technologically, I kind of up to date. I created two or three websites, and was still hosting a couple others, and then also sound wise, I pretty much know the ins and outs of that. So I'm not just new to media and technology at all.
Good. So how long were you
good.
in radio?
I was in radio for 20 years. 20
Wow.
plus years.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So were you?
I was in the performing stages of contemporary Christian music. Worked at KCFL, KCFO in Oklahoma back when and I was fortunate because it was in Tulsa, and it was one of the first 100,000 watt stations around. And then when I came back east, I actually had started a CCM station that was here. A couple of guys were given a radio station. I managed it, and then we moved from an AM radio station to an FM radio station that was like, what was that? 3,000, 5,000 watts. And then the current station here now that's owned by K-Love, I worked there, kind of pioneering along the way until K-Love took it over, and it reaches like maybe a third of the state. It's got a huge footprint. So,
that's
so I did commercials. So I've been in and out, and love music, etc.
That's awesome. Fantastic. And how long have you been pastoring?
Well, I've been pastor for this particular period of time. It's just months now, but before, I've had at least 6 years behind me from
That's cool.
from before plants.
That's cool. So you started this new church, and
Right.
I mean, you're right at the very beginning stages. I mean, you're basically getting paperwork and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
done.
Well, we've got all that done. It's just, this is the matter now. It's a matter of getting people in.
Okay.
So,
So
and
are
the
you?
plan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask: are you starting it as a home church, or are you just going to start basic, Sunday nights, Wednesday nights at the house, or what
No,
are you doing?
actually,
Taking small group and growing from there, or what?
One thing I'm doing is, we do Sunday morning, and I know that lifestyles of people have changed, so people don't do Sunday night as much as they used to. An older crowd is a good Sunday night crowd, but the younger crowd, not so much. Wednesday night's even on the downturn with that. So what I'm doing actually is I'm doing a Bible study on Blab on Sunday mornings, which I'm going to move that to Wednesday because it's a little close to church time. So I'm going to do that, and that's my outreach to the world. And I want to actually do either a Blab or a Periscope on Sunday morning, because there are a lot of people that can't come to church, and I think we are so used to people coming to church, and numbers of church are dwindling a little bit in the standard church. I just want to be able to reach people where they are. So they may not be able to get out of their house, may not want to come for whatever reason. They just don't feel like rolling out of the bed or rolling out of the house. So if they have a Periscope and or Blab access, then I'm thinking, yay, they'll maybe watch for a few minutes, or whatever time it is that they do, and it makes it convenience. And I think convenience is the thing of the day. It really is convenience.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I can see that. There's two schools of thought. There is the if you're a Christian, you need to find a local church. You need to get plugged in. You need to start ministering there. And then there is the cynical that, I'm a Christian. I don't, organized religion bugs the snot out of me, and I don't like all the infighting and all that sort of stuff. I just love Jesus, and that tells me that those folks that are at that place are at that point in their journey, and right now they just need to be fed. And at that point, that's where I think that the internet comes in. There's the practicality of, hey, I'm sick, so now I'm tuning in, or I'm traveling, or I'm a missionary. That's one of the big things for me, is that missionaries out in the field that are constantly giving and feeding spiritually and physically, that they need to be nourished. And if they can tap back into their own home church remotely, then, they can be a part of that congregation that they grew up with. And so, I think what you're doing, I think is fantastic, because no one has to, when you're out there, there's starting to become a stigma around being a Christian. People are being a little more quiet than they used to. Mm-hmm. And being able to be a Christian quietly at home kind of breaks the ice. You know what I'm saying?
It does. And you can see it. I go out and witness to people, and people will open up to you in general, mm-hmm. but they don't want to go to church per se.
Right.
And that's sad. But, the thing is, you don't have to technically be a church member to go to heaven.
Right.
It's not a requirement. It's never been a requirement.
No.
Jesus was anti-establishment. He never had. He preached in the synagogues, but most of his ministry was outside.
Right.
And so this is a new outside, and you can reach people. The bottom line for us as believers is what he said in the commission, to make disciples of everyone in looser terms, everyone you possibly can, because not everybody's going to receive it, of course. But that is a thing. If you can open the door to a person's heart, so that they begin to at least think about, Christ.
Right.
You've made an accomplishment. It's that seed that's been planted. I have one part, and God's got another part. They've got a part. So and that's the whole thing. So I'm not worried about numbers, and never have been. It's nice to see large crowds, and people, I guess, being human beings, we like large things, but mm-hmm. It's not about that. It's about reaching people the best way we can. And there's one thing that at least most people have, is a phone and a TV. Mm-hmm. So, now with smart TVs, I'm sure Blab will be on smart TVs as well. I guess you probably can do that. So, there's no excuse anymore.
Right. And you can syndicate this stuff. I mean, what we're doing is we take the video here, and I download it and tweak it a little bit, cut it, trim it, mm-hmm. that sort of stuff.
Right.
And then it goes up to the YouTube channel. It's also going to be going out as a podcast, and we're going to build a Roku channel. That's going to go out to the Roku channel, the Apple channel. So I mean, you can do that with your church services as well. You can have, and what's cool about things like Roku and app based things is you can do you can have like your standard Sunday morning service that is a live stream and that is also played back, chronologically. But then you could have another, like a sub channel built in there that is like this Bible study on this topic and one on this topic. You got a women's Bible study, a men's Bible study, youth, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, you can end up having everything that your church, as it's growing topically, can all be there as well in virtual form or in archival form. As well as in the live physical space. Do you guys have a physical space yet?
Yes, we meet in a community center up the street. Okay. So that's one place, and of course that's going to be a part of it, because I was reading the side note there in regards to Yes, I don't believe that people will watch church on the internet and not go to church. Well, that's true. The idea is to motivate them to become a part at some point, and they will do that because the word says it. It says you need to go to church in order to be encouraged by other believers. I mean,
right.
That makes sense, and you cannot you cannot substitute the internet for personal relationships. I mean, it just
Right.
shouldn't. I mean, it's good in some cases, but not all.
You
And
can't do community projects on the internet. You do community.
yeah.
If there's a person that needs their yard mowed, then you don't click your way to a cleaner yard.
You just flick your riding lawnmower up there, right? So,
Right.
but so yes, I want to do some of the things that you're talking about, because it's and I think there's a resistance, unfortunately, is from some pastors even go this route. Because they're of course we have income to deal with, but
Right.
I think it all plays out eventually, because now you can do giving online, so it's not even a problem anymore.
Right.
So but now with what you all are doing, your media, now it's a pretty broad topic. Are you talking about media as far as presentations inside of the church? Or are you talking about media online and all the things that you're building?
Well, originally for me, I felt a calling a number of years ago, and I'm ashamed to say I'm just now being really obedient to it. I felt a calling a number of years ago because of my background, because of my understanding and technical prowess with broadcast and podcasting and web streaming and digital publishing and all that sort of stuff, to take people like Toby, who is a good friend of mine, known him for a number of years. He's a very successful youth pastor. And he dabbles in some of this stuff a little bit. But if I said, hey, Toby, you need to take the Wednesday night Bible studies that you're doing and stuff, and you need to get them into a podcast, go ahead and get them live stream and get a Roku app built so that the parents, can take a look at them on Thursday night instead of Wednesday night. He'd be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, the thing that's crazy for me is I'm extremely technical. I worked for Microsoft for 10 years supporting Windows Desktop and eventually Windows Server. I wrote training for 7 years for Microsoft, and man, I'm very technical. I pride myself on being technical. I'm more of a Mac guy now, but I love technology. And yet, whenever we come into the media space and the things that I thought it would be very similar and very easy for me to pick up. And what I found is that it's very different. It's technology, but it's got its own vocabulary. It's got its own methodology. And so I was shocked to realize, man, I need a Dave in my life to help me figure this stuff out, because it's not straightforward. And there's 30,000 ways to go about doing anything. And it's really helpful to find somebody that's like, no, here's the ways that you can get this done, and they have experience and they know how to get it done, rather than you having to try to reinvent the wheel on this. Right. It's crazy.
Right. And so that's why I'm putting churchtrainingacademy.com together as it's going to be a blog/membership site for guys just like you that, for a few dollars a month, you subscribe to it. And then here is curriculum. Here is training. Here is a community that you can tap into where you just getting started can connect with folks that were just getting started 6 months ago, and here's what they overcame. And you can tap their resources. How did you get past this hurdle? How did you do this? How did you get your show into iTunes? Who did you find to develop your Roku app? That sort of stuff. So just this hub where church staff and creatives can come together and share all their knowledge and learn how to maximize all the different tools that are out there. Everything from, how to podcast, how to live stream, what cameras to buy, what platforms are out there. Should we do it on WordPress? Should we pay someone $100 a month, to host our website? How do we do it? All these decisions that you guys have to make, we hope to be able to help you sift through all that sort of stuff and get it going a lot quicker.
Yeah, and I find that that's an important thing. And I find that small churches have the most problem. They barely can pay their pastor, and then other things that come along to help them along. Number one, they don't have somebody that's technologically knowledgeable, knowledgeable, to help them. And then, if they are doing something, it's minimal. And I'm in a men's group, and we go from different churches every month, in our men's group to have a event. And, we're in a lot of different churches, and I've only been in one that was actually streaming live that I know of, that was streaming live and doing things that were like above the norm. And that was an interesting enough. It was out in a country location, but, and that's fine. So, technically I can do, most of those things. I would need some encouragement. And I want to eventually help other, folks do that, because it's important. The church that I was just at, I put them online as far as a radio station. It was a web radio station that they needed to be online with, and I was able to get all of that set up for them only because of my background in radio and all of that. So, but to teach another person that, they look at it and it's like, major, code upon code, that it just don't understand it. It's not easy to translate. I did do a little instructional manual for them, but I still have to go in and physically help them out. Right. But to my point was that small churches are the most difficult, in that have the most difficulty in that area. Right. And that's something that you all are going to help them with, because, if there's an astronomical fee per month, then it would be tough.
Right. No, that's I want it to be something affordable. But I mean, if I'm going to do this full time, then it I've got to have income coming in to do it. So, and I've got
absolutely
time to develop all these resources and all that. But yeah, it is. I haven't nailed down a price yet, and it may be a tiered thing. It may be a 2-tier type deal. But all that's going to kind of shake out as we go. I mean, the community's going to, we'll kind of find where the sweet spot is. But the main thing that we're targeting is the small and medium-sized churches that haven't done this. You've got First Baptist Dallas that just has a tremendous media ministry, both internally and externally, and you've got large organizations that are spread out across the country, multi-campus sites and all that sort of stuff. And they're killing it and stuff. But there's guys like you who are like at the very beginning that need to get moving and get things going. And, I want to make sure that I can help you, because your message is just as valuable. And to the people around you and to others, I may need to hear exactly what you're saying, and I may never hear it if you don't get it into iTunes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The one thing in regard to, it sounds like you're teaching people. One thing that I noticed about the local churches is that the guys don't have a basic grasp of operating a soundboard.
Right.
Is that something that you're going to do in a very simple way? It's like, it's made easy for the hard to understand or something, because that's really a tough one. Yeah, because it's if there's a very simple way to understand, how to operate, the pots and, make sure, keeping feedback out, all of that stuff, because I had to deal with that when I was first working with the band. You had a band and, nobody could hear. Right. You're telling them why you can't hear and what we need. And they're saying, well, I can't hear myself. That's all they were concerned about. But the other side of it was, what don't you do on the board to make the feedback happen and all of that? Right. So that's I think that's a very important thing. And then you add the above the monitors, the screens, you got a whole nother picture there.
It becomes a lot, yeah.
It does. It's, and so you don't. But my hope would be, and this is just an extra thought, it's an opportune way to get young people into audio. Because if they start getting it at their age in high school, they're a junior or senior, where they, and their parents can get them to get inside, to do that, or maybe even younger. That would be an opportune time for them to learn something outside of what they're learning in school that's going to be valuable to them the rest of their life, possibly.
I agree. That's where I started. My dad set up the sound system at our church at First Baptist Sinton, Texas, 30-something years ago, and was always sitting up there running sound and doing the recordings. And if he was going to be sick or something like that, he taught me how to do it. And then when I was, and that's when I was like in grammar school, I was learning how to do that stuff. And then when I got into junior high and getting into the youth group and all that, I started learning how to do more and more of it. And when we would have camps, I would be the sound guy at camp. So for all the services and the concerts and stuff like that, I was back there with my best friend. He was doing all the lighting. I was doing all the sound. And yeah, it's very important. And that's one of those things that you're not getting in high school. You're not getting in junior high. I mean, they've taken shop out. They've taken, the FFA and 4-H and all that kind of stuff seem to all be going away, and people are losing all these great practical technical skills and all that. So yeah, I agree that every church needs to have like their youth being a integral part of the media team.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for joining, and Rue, I hope you stick with us and as we're trying to figure out this show, and keep giving us some feedback. If you go over to churchtrainingacademy.com, I've got a very simple little form up there. If you drop your email in there, that'll put you on the list, and you and I can stay in contact. And I would love any and all feedback from you and things that you think need to be covered. The basics of operating, a soundboard is something I hadn't even thought about. And that is, I kind of took the assumption that, most churches would already be doing something like that. So let's take from the recording phase to the internet phase at that point. But even jumping back a few steps to this is a soundboard and here's where you plug things in. I love that idea. So thank you for throwing that at me.
Okay. And what's the name? It's Church Training
Academy.
Academy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good. I will do that. And I have to go somewhere with my wife. You know how that goes.
Wife. Uh-huh.
And but hey, I'm glad that you all are doing this. This is awesome. Look forward to your success, and it's going to be great. And I'll fill you in as I go along too.
Please,
because it's going to be important. Now, okay, thank you guys, and
thanks for
same time every week.
Yeah, and unless something changes, we're going to be doing the 10 o'clock hour on every Thursday.
Okay, you turn
Central
10 o'clock
time,
what time? Central time. That's why.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
We're in flyover country. Sorry.
That's not a problem. I'm East Coast. So thank you. May y'all have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
You too, Rue.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, so that was great. Rue's awesome, man. So Brian was just saying he sees small churches like some government agencies tend to be 10 to 20 years behind technology and culture. How much of that is simply not staying engaged with or tapped into youth? So I've seen both ends of that, Brian. I've seen some churches that are, like you say, man, they're just way, way, way behind. And they have no, and a lot of time I do think that is because they've kind of lost touch with youth culture, or they've lost touch with millenniums. And, but I've also seen the other end where, like Stephen is on here. He's got, how large is your church, Stephen? I can't remember what you said.
Stephen,
it's not huge.
Jump on?
So Stephen's got what I think is 120, 150. That's a medium sized church, and man, they're crushing it. Our church runs more than that, and we're nowhere near what Stephen's doing in his church.
Right.
So some people really do. They push that bleeding edge of technology, and then the rest of us are kind of fumbling somewhere in between.
Where do you think, Toby, that the impetus for that drive comes from? I've seen churches that are, whether they're a small church like his, or whether it's a large church like Gateway or Fellowship, something like that,
right?
Where they and I've seen both ends of this. I've seen where they treat a Sunday morning worship service as a Broadway show. And I mean, they got people running around with clipboards and mics, and they're yelling and screaming at each other and all this sort of stuff. And then I've seen others that, and the focus is on the production as opposed to the focus being on the leading in worship. And I've seen the other side where all of that kind of hustle and bustle is happening, but the focus is not on the production. The focus is on getting the message out, and
Right.
it's a mindset difference. They've got the headsets and they're calling shots and they're doing all this sort of stuff, but we don't have to get this show done. It is, let's get these people to the throne room. So where do you think where does that come from? I mean, who drives that mostly, do you think?
So again, this is my opinion. For me, what I've seen it can really come either from church leadership, like staff, or it can come from the church itself. I think sometimes the church body dictates kind of what their anticipation and their expectations are. Mm-hmm. And so some churches are very performance driven, and there are great things to be said for that. There are negatives to be said for that as well. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we can allow the technology and the performance to outweigh the message. And yet at other times, I think the technology and the performance enhances the message. And it depends really, and I could be wrong, but I think it's a heart issue on, man, who are we lifting up? Are we lifting up the Savior? Are we lifting up Christ? Or are we trying to make ourselves look really good and really cool and sound really great?
Right.
And it should be both, right? You should want to be really good and sound really great. You want to give your best to God,
and if your best is making sure that the lighting is right and that the sound sounds good and all that sort of stuff, and as a technical minister, then that makes sense. You want to make sure that your job is to make sure that everything is good and there's not a distraction being caused by anybody in the audience, but you are getting them to the throne room. So that does make sense.
Yeah, and so I think Tommy's question that he asked there is right on the money. I mean, however we're using technology, ultimately we have to ask the question: would he be welcome here? Would he be happy to be sitting in the middle of all that we're doing? And so that's a really valid question to kind of check: what are our motives? What are we trying to accomplish with all of this? And I've been to some. I went to so disclaimer. I tend to run on the, man, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to strive to glorify God. The message is the main thing, not the medium. Right. And so I tend to lean that way. But man, I was at a concert of a very popular group a few weeks ago.
What, the Hillsong one?
It was actually before that. It was Chris Kane and Carrie Job. Mm-hmm. And love both of them. But man, when this is going to sound crazy, but whenever Carrie Job went into her concert, they did this thing with the lights. And again, I prefer less, not more. Mm-hmm. But they did this thing with the lights. And I had this moment where I was like, that just blew my brain. How much more incredible is it going to be when we worship around the throne? Mm. And so it was this moment where technology did take me to another level of anticipation and another level of worship, as I was like, wow, that was mind blowing. How much more incredible is it going to be? Mm-hmm. So I think technology can do both. I think it can enhance or it can take away. It just depends on how we use it.
Yeah, I agree.
And the other thing is, I think sometimes it's driven from the staff, where the staff says, man, we need to be on top of technology. How can we be using technology? How can we be using media in our services and outside of our services to reach people? But then I think sometimes there's people like you that are really passionate. They're a part of the church that come and say, man, I want to help elevate this. Mm-hmm. And so that's the blessing to the church, when there are people that are like, I have this passion and I want to be able to step in and help. And I love that, because then that gives that person a chance to develop a team that ministers in a way that they really own. And I love that.
So Tommy asks, Toby, do you feel the kids heard the message? Are you referring to like at the concert, Tommy, like say the Carrie Job? Do you think that okay. Yeah. So did that, do you think it enhanced with everyone around you?
So the Carrie Job one was a little bit unique. There weren't a lot of teenagers there. I'm a youth minister, but I would say that, there was maybe 5% teenagers in the room. It was mainly an adult thing. And the message was very, very strong. Then a few weeks later, we did go to a Hillsong concert, and I've got a great, we've got a great youth program, and a bunch of great youth that are very discerning, and they did walk away from the Hillsong concert with some questions in their mind about the message. To me, there wasn't anything that was theologically wrong, but the way that it was done was just a little uncomfortable. Man was lifted up pretty high during that, and my youth picked up on it really quick. And so I think we got to be careful about not letting the technology become about us. It's about the message. It's about Jesus.
I see that. I think a lot of that, like you said, comes from the top down. I think we used to be members at a church that went from being a growing small church of 400, 500, 600, literally cramming into the pews and the space and wall to wall and all that sort of stuff. And that's a great problem to have when your church is growing like that and you have to sit there and it's uncomfortable and you're hot. That's great. They built a very large campus, bought a lot of land, built a very large mega church style facility. And it was interesting to watch how things shifted, because at first it was like, this is something that we can't do. So God, and we don't want to do it with debt. So God, you have to provide. So there was huge amounts of prayer and seeking God's face and everything, and pulling people together. And can we do this? Can we do this with a giving campaign? And that all worked. And then once it started happening, it started becoming, look what we did. And as opposed to look what God is doing. Right. And before you know it, it became, every single service became a big old attaboy backslapping. Look at what we did in our magnificent facility and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, it's almost become an amusement park now, and that's something that I want to make sure, like with our church, and we're, when it comes to media and we're just now starting to really stretch our wings. We've had, our show, I've been in this world so long, our show,
second episode.
Yes.
Beta.
The services that we do, our Bible studies and all that, we've had them in iTunes for a number of years. Actually did that several years ago with some of the previous staff members. But we're still in the very beginning stages of the streaming and live production and developing apps and all that sort of stuff. We're at the very beginning stage and stuff. And I want to make sure that just us personally, you and me, and the rest of the team, as we start doing all this sort of stuff, that this is all, if it's not being done to glorify God, then we don't do it. And I just want to encourage everybody out there that's in church media or helping with their ministries at their church and stuff like that. None of this matters if you're not doing it for God, if you're not doing it to, the goal of this show, the goal of Church Training Academy is to teach you how to use the media, use the tools that are out there to fulfill the Great Commission. If you're not fulfilling the Great Commission, go write a sitcom, go do local theater or something, quit playing around at your church and distracting.
Right. If we're not making disciples with what we're doing, why are we doing it?
That's exactly right. And that's the only reason any of this stuff should exist. If you're gonna write an ebook, then take your sermons and put them in ebook form or something like that. If it's not being done to enhance someone's spiritual growth, don't do it. Move on.
What's up, Mike? Thanks for joining us.
Yes. So look at that. We got 17 folks. That's awesome. Ember Studio. What do we have there? Is that Mike? It says Ember Studio. Is that you, Mike? Awesome. Yep. Hi. Fantastic. Okay.
Stephen, you said something that was interesting a second ago. So Stephen was talking about Soundboard. And so I've totally experienced what Stephen's talking about. So we've got, so first of all, I don't know how many of you talking about soundboards are still analog versus digital soundboards. But we've got a LS9 in our youth room that in the beginning was so confusing to me. Man, getting to everything, you had to go different layers of the soundboard, extremely confusing. Hired a guy to come out and do some training with us, and then figured out, it's really not that complicated. It's not really that much more complicated than an analog, and in a lot of ways is less complicated. But the interesting thing, and I don't know if you've encountered this, Stephen, and I don't know how to battle it, is people that I train on the soundboard come in, and they're pretty meek, and they're pretty trainable, but once they've done it for a little while and they begin to take real pride in what they're doing, it's like this personality switch happens, and all of a sudden,
they become subject matter experts.
Yeah, they become subject matter experts, and then they become difficult to manage.
Yeah,
and they can't leave their fingers, and and sound is highly subjective. Mm-hmm. And so, like you were talking last week about going around with like a meter and making sure that like the sound was right in different parts, but man, it's so subjective. And this person that came in is a huge blessing. At some point, it seems like almost always you end up having to have that sit down talk and go, man, love you, let's talk about the way this should work.
Right.
But yeah, and I don't know why sound is more that way than anything else, but it's huge. People that learn it begin to have extremely strong opinions and want to just run it.
Yeah. They want to run it, and then they also, it's almost like they're trying to build in job security as well. So they won't tell you everything. It's like,
right.
I have to be the one to do it. It's like, it's not even a paid position.
Yeah, like Stephen's saying here, we've on our LS9, you can go in. So ours is in a multi-purpose room, and so we're not the only people that use it. The youth department is not the only people who use it. The school uses it. We have parties that rent out the space to use it. Different ministries within the church use it, and they all have like their special, hey, here's how we think it should be done, mm-hmm. and here's the mix. And so in theory with the LS9, you can save different presets. And so I could have one that's just youth, but inevitably we end up stepping on each other's presets. So it's always this battle of every time I walk into the youth space and turn on the soundboard, I never know what I'm doing. Last night, none of the mics worked. So spent 45 minutes troubleshooting. Why are the stinking mics not working? Because it's a multi-purpose building and somebody else used it during the week and did some crazy stuff. Frustrating.
It's almost like you need to have and have everybody.
That was my rant. Yes.
And do a clinic.
That was my rant, and I feel much better now. So thank you for the therapy.
Good. Okay. Well, let's move into a segment.
That's a great idea.
What's that?
To put a plexiglass case over the soundboard. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Just enclose that sucker.
Yeah. I mean, we got the little.
We're gonna actually build a room around our drums. Not because we want to mic it better, that will be a side benefit, but because since it's in a multi-personal space, everybody gets on the drums and goes jamming, and they tear stuff up. And so we're going to have to enclose it just to keep people off of it. Stephen, you're awesome. We are one in heart, man.
I've threatened.
Hide the sticks. Yeah. Yeah, so I've threatened, yeah. We try to hide the sticks, but inevitably somebody will forget and leave them out, and then they broke our sticks last week. Who breaks drumsticks? They broke 2 sets of drumsticks just goofing around, and we don't know who it was. Okay, rant's off, sorry.
Okay. All right, so let's move into a segment that we haven't named yet. You want to come up with a name for it? This is like our tip of the week or something like that. You got anything creative? I mean, if you were the one giving the tips, we could like Toby's tips.
Toby's totally twisted tips. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either.
Tip.
Let's see. I think I have a jingle though.
A jingle? That's awesome. You have a jingle.
You want to hear it?
I'm ready. You got to crank it up though. It was too quiet earlier.
Oh, really? Okay, hang on. Let me turn it back up here. Let's try it again. Did you hear that?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It made me happy.
It'd be something like, and now let's talk about our Toby's totally tips.
Tubular. I like tubular.
Yeah.
That's pretty old school, though.
Right.
Pretty old school, but it's not Toby's tips today, right? It's Steven's tips.
I don't know, Steven. Do you have time to jump in? Get the here's his tip. Get the senior pastor on board to watch your back and help you move things in the direction you feel God is leading you for the technology. Well, that is fantastic.
That's great, except our senior pastor is an interim.
Yeah.
So it really falls on the rest of the staff to kind of make this stuff happen. And I won't go any further on that rant. Our church is great. Multi-purpose rooms are a beating. That's all I can say.
That's a problem that you're going to run into in any type of multi-purpose type deal where you have to schedule the space. You have to do this. And, there are churches that have the staff to basically have the sound person for.
That's right.
So whether it's the Korean church that is meeting there on Saturday afternoons, then, it's the sound guy and their sound guy, and they work together, that sort of thing. Someone's staffed for that. Now we're just not at that point. I do have a tip though. Check this out. You and I were talking about this at lunch the other day. So I was listening to another podcast, and there's this gal who is a social media minister at a church in DC called the National Community Church, and they are at theaterchurch.com. And her name is, let's see, where is it? Diana Weifang, and she is the social media minister there. And one of the things that I was listening to an interview with her, and one of these days I'd like to get her on the show because she's really interesting. Their whole theory behind social media at the National Community Church is to make sure that throughout the week their members are being touched by the church through social media. And because of their location, they're in Washington, D.C., and as you know, that is a very transitional type of community. You've got people that come in and go and come and go and come and go, whether it's, members of Congress or staff or, people that are in the military or whatever. She said that they have they've got their core members that are always there, but then they've got people that are just constantly coming and going.
Sure.
And so what they do is on their with their services, whoever, whether it's her or the person who's actually does the editing of the services, for publication or whatever, they're in there making notes, and they go through the pastor's outline and the different bullet points and things like that they that he uses. They will then take those things and break them up into 140 character tweets and Instagram images and things to put on Facebook and Pinterest. Cards and things like that, and have them schedule. They use some scheduling software to drip this stuff out throughout the week. So you hear the service on Sunday, and you participate in the worship and all that sort of stuff. But then Monday morning, you get a little nugget. And that's our transitional pastor, Heath. I see him doing that, where he'll take some of the songs that we have done, or a song that he's listening to throughout the week, and he'll tweet out just that, one of the little phrases, or the chorus or something like that. I think that's great. And so what the tip is, do that. I think it's brilliant. We don't have to come up with all kinds of content when we're already generating the content. We just need to repurpose it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
one of the things that I want to start doing, I'm going to be doing this on my own, just with my audience and giving out tips and all that. But with Instagram, you can do video, right? Like 15-second videos. And I know you and I've played with it with the youth and stuff, where we use, we take these little videos, and I like to, during the worship, the youth worship, I like to shoot a chorus of a song and throw it up on Instagram or something. Mm-hmm. But what I want to start doing is taking like the services, and you can take these little 15-second segments, these points, these bullet points, these statements, a scripture, something. You can portion that stuff out of the service as a whole, and take those, edit them down 15 seconds, 14 seconds, whatever, and then throw them onto your camera roll and then upload them to Instagram. And then obviously through Instagram, you can publish to Twitter and you can publish to Facebook as well. So that's something we're going to do. And I encourage everybody else to try that. Taking the existing content, repurpose it a little bit more for social media and, see how it goes.
Do you guys do anything like that? Or any of you taking content that you've already created and repurposing it in any way? Or are you using Instagram? So Instagram right now is the top percentage of what teenagers are using, and then flying up really close to that this past year has been Snapchat.
Yeah.
And so are you guys using Instagram, Snapchat, any interesting ways? And Dave, I have a question for you.
Okay. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. So let's say that we are in a service and we're watching the pastor, and we realize, man, he just said something that's really interesting that would be like a great little grab.
Right.
I mean, how do you, with whatever software you're using, is there a way that you can mark that space so that you can come back to it? How do you do that in an easy way?
Like in real time?
Yeah. Or is there not a good way to do that?
Well, okay. So, I was telling you guys last week when we were talking with Stephen, we're looking at getting a TriCaster for the church. One of the things that we can do with the TriCaster is they have there is social sharing that is built into the TriCaster. It's not as robust as it probably could be, but you have the ability to grab a still and automatically have it tweeted out. You can grab a video clip and automatically have it sent up to YouTube and stuff. And I'm thinking that we can actually use that basically as an index to grab time markers. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. It's just almost like marking when you're recording in like Pro Tools, or when I'm editing in Adobe Premiere. As I'm scrubbing through footage, I can drop markers on the timeline for areas that I want to come back to or do something with. And I'm thinking that we may be able to do something like that. Short of doing that, unless our recording software or our recording hardware allows us to like do index marking, it's going to have to basically be someone who is during that recording when they hear something like that, mark it down, just mark down,
writing it down,
something. It's the only thing I can think of other than going through the process, the publishing process, and just kind of scrolling through it really quick and remembering where he was like really animated, and that's something that you kind of need to do, within,
immediately.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good question. Has anybody come up with anything on their end? Steve, have you come up with anything on that? This is the point where we wait for an answer. Near.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to touch on what you said there about Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, man, in my experience, Twitter for most people although it's pretty straightforward, is a large learning curve. People don't get it right off the bat, and so I found that even with youth, it's kind of difficult to get them very excited about Twitter.
Right.
And then Facebook, teenagers are going away from Facebook in droves because their parents are on Facebook. Right. And so it's no longer the cool place to be. And so I still do things on Facebook, but I know whenever I do things on Facebook, I'm predominantly targeting the parents. Right. Whenever I do things on Instagram, I know that that's something that predominantly the teenagers are going to see.
And are teenagers not using Twitter that much anymore?
Twitter kind of had a spike, and with the teenage population, it's plateaued and is now beginning to decrease.
So Twitter seems to be more of a broadcast medium, basically, where you and I and other people are gathering information through Twitter. We're finding out about things through Twitter, but we're discussing them on Facebook or other channels,
Right. I agree. Yeah.
So, repurposing content, I think, is the big thing. And when you have a staff and you have people that are dedicated to doing stuff like her over at the National Community Church. That's what she does. She takes all this sort of stuff, and throughout the week, she gets all this stuff scheduled. And I think once you build something in, Stephen was talking about how, it does take time to go through and do all this. Once you build that into your workflow, if you're already taking the service and compressing it and taking the pastor's notes and doing the blog post, then, you can take some time, 30 minutes or whatever, and do a fast scroll through the service and grab some of these bullet points. If you're doing sort of live mixing or live recording where you're taking the bullet points, the slides, and doing them with the live video where he goes, okay, now number 2 is, and you show the slide and stuff like that. Then you've got some visual markers where you can go back and grab these sort of things.
That's true.
It's a lot easier to go through and do it versus just an audio recording that you're having to,
Right.
So there's ways,
Yeah.
there's ways around that. And as we put things together, we'll, my goal is to help share these little hacks and stuff like that with folks to go through that. But a lot of it is just, and Stephen will tell you, a lot of it is just time. The more you're doing this sort of stuff, when I was in college, I found when I was scrolling through videotapes for editing, the TV show and stuff that I was doing, I found my eye got really, really good, and I could turn that knob and start going through something, and someone walking in is just hearing
Right.
and they're just seeing lines and things scrolling by really fast. But I could go to within a second of my in and out points on stuff. I could do
That's impressive.
I
Yeah.
could go back, and there it was. You can see stuff like that, and I see that when I'm editing. I can go 3, 4, 5, 6 times speed as I'm going through a timeline and get to exactly where I want. Your eye gets good at it, so you'll learn how to do it. Anyway, anything else? Do you have any questions or tips or anything? I use Twitter as a news outlet. That's what most of us are doing now. We sort of use that as the first source. We saw that good example was the other night with the Iowa caucuses. We saw that somebody mentioned that that Carson was going to was going to leave the campaign trail to go home, get some fresh clothes, and meet up at the next place. He was basically going to make a pit stop is the sum total of that information. But it was grabbed and shot out, and before you know it, it started having some negative effects. So, that's that also brings into question the veracity of the information that you're finding on Twitter.
Sure.
Is it always going to be accurate? It may be if it's like, Christians are being beheaded in Mumbai, and that sort of stuff, but maybe not everything else. Anyway, that's right. Make your list on Twitter and do your homework. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's something that I'm just now, after I don't know how many years, just now starting to do is make lists on Twitter so that I can cull through all the information and get to exactly what I want. And I started with Stephen. I added him to Twitter and then added him to a list that is specifically for church media, so that only people in church media I'm getting information from and finding out information and things that they're doing and all that. Anyway, he added me on a list as well.
I know. So nice.
Wonderful. All right. So, Tobe, do you have anything else, bub?
Just one thing Tommy was talking about. He has a page that he set up for his church where he uploads all his pictures. Talking about doing our D Now as youth minister, one of the things that on Facebook, that's a good idea. One of the things that we're constantly, whether we're at youth camp or Disciple Now or a weekend service project that we're doing, I always used to carry my in the day 35 millimeter camera around. Now just one of my Nikon cameras around, but they're kind of big and they're bulky and it's kind of a pain. What's a 35 millimeter? Come on. So they're big and they're bulky, and it's just one more thing you have to think about. Yes, that's a beautiful thing.
This was my grandparents. Isn't that awesome?
That's nuts. That's a movie recorder, though, right?
Dude, this is a 8 millimeter, a Bell and Howell.
That's awesome.
A Filmo Autoload.
Filmo Autoload.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a crank handle.
No, this was automatic.
Wow, fancy smancy.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. That close parentheses. Keep going.
Close parentheses. So anyway, a few years ago, and at Disciple Now in particular, where we're all spread up into different homes during the weekend, is real pain. Yeah, I had to have a team of people that would go around to different homes and take pictures, and it's a pain. So 2 years ago, found an app that is amazing, and it works on iOS, it works on Android, it works just on the web. It's called Church Snaps. And you just get everybody to load Church Snaps on their devices, teenagers, the adults, everybody. And just with their phones, they can either directly through Church Snaps take pictures or take pictures and then upload them to Church Snaps. And it's a private thing.
They're basically all
a
part of that one account or that one group.
That's right. You invite people, or it gives you a link that you can send out and mass invite people. But it's awesome. Yeah, Church Snaps, just like that, Tommy. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
It's fun. And so we went from capturing a couple of hundred pictures for DNOW to I think last year we had over 1,000 pictures for DNOW.
Wow.
Now, some of the pictures aren't great because they're taken on really cruddy phones. But some of the pictures are amazing, and it's just so easy. So we use it for every big event that we do now. And the great thing is you can go on the website after you've done it all, after the event's over, and you can hit a button that says download an archive of this, and it will generate in the back a zip file that you can then just download after it's over, and you got all the pictures from the event. And it's amazing.
And then you can drop all those into Lightroom and go through and mark everything, export all those things out or batch process them or something, and then throw all that into like Animoto or iMovie or something like that, and come up with your Sunday morning, recap.
It's awesome. Yeah. So and that's true, because the other thing that was a pain whenever I had multiple people going out and taking pictures was just trying to get, all the people that took pictures to get those back to me in a time that I could turn around and get something ready for Sunday morning. So this is amazing. I love it. And then you can. So that's what I did last year, Tommy, is I took like the 1,000 pictures and downloaded the archive, unzipped it, picked out like, I don't know, a couple of hundred that I thought were the best pictures, and I uploaded those then to Facebook so that everybody would have access to them. But that's just a silly, I don't know, that's a great tip, but in youth ministry, that's been a big deal. And my adults really like taking pictures. Yeah. They really enjoy just having their cell phone with them and taking pictures of the events. So that's fun.
That's cool. And then the kids can do it as well. And everybody, it's like crowdsourced memories.
Yeah, the kids can do it as well. And so one of the things that is fun about that, like especially for a DNOW weekend where the kids are just at times alone, just like in the living room goofing off, they take some wacky videos, because you can do videos on Snapchat, on Church Snaps too. So they would do some wacky, weird videos that were just a lot of fun that you're not going to get any other way. So it's awesome.
Is it just for pictures or is it for video as well?
You can do both.
That's awesome.
One thing I have found is if you use the Church Snaps app itself to take the pictures or the videos, I don't recommend that because it can crash on you and you lose it. So I typically just do it with my phone and then upload them to Church Snaps. But it's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, Tommy. Wow. Wow is the right word.
Fantastic. Hey, so what camera app do you use on your phone?
I use a couple. So if I'm doing, I have to open up my phone here. If I'm doing just pictures, I use an app called Manual. We lost Dave. Audio only.
Huh?
It says poor internet signal, audio only on you right now.
For me?
Do you guys see that too?
What? Hang on.
No. Maybe it's my poor audio signal. It may be me. They don't see it.
Am I good? Hello, everybody? Okay.
They see you. It's just me.
All right, good.
Yeah. So I use one called Manual, and it's great for taking pictures because you can control the ISO, you can control the shutter speed, you can control the focus point, you can set an aperture priority, shutter priority. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's iOS. I don't know if it's on Android or anything, but it's just called Manual.
You ever use?
And then I have before. Yeah, I liked it, but I quit using it. I don't remember why, but I like manual a lot.
Cool.
And then I just this past week downloaded an app for video called Film IC Pro, or FILMIC Pro.
Yeah, Filmic Pro is fantastic.
Filmic
video.
Pro.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Filmic Pro.
What you can do.
I was going to tell you, if you're not using Filmic Pro for video, you need to. It's fantastic.
It's crazy cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully some of these folks out here are getting a little value from our nice little tips here. That was awesome. Let's see.
You have a Canon IS5, but only know how to use automatic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be telling that around.
No. Keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us. This was great. I think this one, actually, once we get started going, I think it flowed a little better. What did you think?
That was good. Once we get in, and you guys are invaluable, man. Just having the conversations with you guys is awesome.
Yeah, this is.
So
great.
Thanks for all that you add.
Yeah, please tell all your friends, come join us. We'd love to broaden this out and just bring in as many folks in the industry as we can. And if you guys know of anybody that we need to be interviewing, please do introductions or something like that. We'd love to start talking to folks that are some serious professionals in this space and start picking their brains and learning from the masters, as it were. So please. Don't hesitate to reach out. And by the way, you guys can email me, dave@davecurley.com, DAVECURLEE.com. So just reach out, email me, and let's start talking.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear from you guys. What are some things that you would like to have discussed? Or what are some things that you feel like you can bring to the table and help other people have a better grip on? Mm-hmm. So we just want to make each other better. But yeah, if you can say, man, I think these would be like ProPresenter. If you want to know about ProPresenter, well, we can talk about ProPresenter, or whatever is on your mind that would be a good conversation. Let us know.
Mm-hmm. Please. Well, thanks, guys. We will be back next week. All things being equal, and the 10 a.m. Central Time on Thursdays. And thanks, guys, for watching. Tobe, thanks for joining me again today. Appreciate it.
Loved it.
All right, and we will see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Cool. So that's the close. I don't charge very much for appearing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to have your people call my church. Let them do lunch.
Let them do lunch. Yeah. Awesome.
Very cool. All right. So I'm going to get back to work on other things. So Meavy, what is this thing?
Looks a lot like Periscope, but
what was that one? Oh, not Periscope, but the other one. There was a Meerkat. That was the other one. Is it?
Oh yeah, Meerkat. Meerkat is dead, isn't it?
I have no idea. Is it? Meerkat app, is it dead? I don't know.
I think Periscope squashed it.
No, it's still there.
Is it?
Still there at least, but yeah, that's one of those things that the first to market is really great.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it gets squashed as soon as a little bit better comes out.
Yep,
man,
that is true.
All right, dude. So great. All right, so I guess we can go ahead and say goodbye, and I'm going to stop the recording.